What's up everyone, today I'll be doing a full recap of the 2022 AFL trade period. Yesterday we saw the trade period conclude with a lot of trades occurring in the last 5-10 minutes. I think we ended up seeing 10 trades made yesterday to bring the total amount of trades for this trade period to 34. And in today's video I'll be going through all the trades that have occurred in team order, briefly mention their ins and outs, going through every trade that they've made as well as what draft picks they have on hand ahead of the 2022 AFL draft. And quickly before we do get into this, if you guys would like to have a look at some other trade content on YouTube, go check out AFL information, trade rumors and results. He asked for a bit of a shout out and he may make some good trade content. So if you want to go check him out, the links will be in the description after this video. So we'll get straight into it and we start off with the Adelaide Crows. Of course, they brought in their man in Isaac Rankin and saw Billy Frampton depart. Of course, Rankin came into the Suns in exchange for pick 5 and a future 3rd and 4th. As well as that, the Crows also received pick 46 and a future 4th. I think, yeah, certainly Rankin's worth the pick 5. He's going to be a very good player, one of the most exciting emerging youngsters in the competition. And Adelaide's draft picks on hand at the end of the trade period. They've got pick 23 and pick 46, of course, getting rid of pick 5 in order to secure Isaac Rankin. The Lions, one of the more busier clubs this trade period, bring in some bigger name players in Josh Dunkley and Jack Gunston. Of course, they let go of Dan McStay to the Pies and Tom Berry to the Suns. Jack Gunston wanting to finish his career at the Lions, just like a few other previous Hawks players, I think in Hodge and Birchall. He's at the Lions now in exchange for pick 48 and a future 4th, and I think this is going to be a handy acquisition for the Lions. He's a very underrated player, and when he's on, he can certainly kick 40 to 50 goals. I expect that with more forward entries, especially at the Lions, he'll definitely have more of a chance of scoring goals, and he won't be taking the best defender. In fact, he'll probably be taking the 3rd best defender, so he could have a really underrated season for the Lions if they want to continue their scoring attack and hope for a premiership. And of course, they also got Josh Dunkley, arguably the biggest trade, the best and fairest for the Western Bulldogs of this year. The Lions got Josh Dunkley and a future 3rd and 4th round pick in exchange for picks 21, future 1st and 2nd, and a future 4th. I think the Lions won this deal. The Dogs certainly wanted a little bit more, but at the end of the day, obviously Dunkley wanted to leave and the deal had to be done. As we take a look at Brisbane's draft picks, look how many second rounders the Lions acquire: 34, 35, 36, 38, 55, 56, 73. Of course, they have this many in order to get the points to secure Will Ashcroft. We head to the Blues, a bit of a quieter trade period for them. They didn't really have to do too much because I'm pretty sure their main priority is as well the draft. They did secure Blake Acres and got rid of Will Setterfield to the Bombers. I think the Acres deal was actually a pretty good one for the Blues. They didn't really have to give up too much. I still think the Dockers were a little bit robbed and had a very important role for the Dockers. So I think Acres can definitely slide into the side and play most, if not all, the games when he's fit. So yeah, I think the Blues did alright. They didn't really do too much. Their draft picks on hand, they've got pick 10, 29, 49 and 66. Overall, I think the Blues did okay. They didn't really need to do too much, but they didn't really do anything wrong either. Now, as we take a look at another club that was very busy during this trade period, we have a look at Collingwood, arguably the most busy side, bringing in a few big name players in Tom Mitchell, Bobby Hill, Dan McStay, as well as Billy Frampton. Of course, Ollie Henry departed to the Cats, as well as Brodie Grundy to the D's. Dan McStay, he was traded to the Pies in exchange for pick 35 at the Lions. Definitely a good trade for them, as the Pies, they don't really have many key forward stock, so that's definitely a handy acquisition. As well as Bobby Hill, I think this is an underrated one in terms of the value that the Pies got for him. I think he's certainly a player with a lot of upside and he's got a lot of footy left in him. The Pies did get Bobby Hill as well as pick 40 for pick 43 and a future 2nd. They also secured Billy Frampton in exchange for just a future 3rd for the Crows, a player that probably won't be playing as many games as others. And then Tom Mitchell, one of the biggest trades as well. I think this is a very good get for the Pies. He was involved in a 3-way trade in which the Pies got Tom Mitchell, pick 25, the Hawks got Cooper Stevens and pick 41 and 50. And the Pies will have to struggle this year in terms of getting centre clearances. Tom Mitchell will certainly help in that aspect. He might not be able to distribute the ball the best, but he's a very good player at getting the ball, and that's exactly what the Pies need. So it's a good acquisition for the Pies, someone that they definitely needed. And their draft picks, well, they still managed to get a few higher end draft picks in 16, 25, 27, as well as pick 51. We take a look at Essendon, and they had a somewhat quiet trade period, but they still brought in a couple of players in Sam Wiedemann, Will Setterfield, and gave away Aaron Francis to the Swans. The Bombers got Wiedemann as well as picks 57 and 72, only in exchange for pick 37. And I feel like Wiedemann's another player who has a lot of potential, just hasn't fulfilled it yet. And in a side that's going to be competing for spots a lot less in the forward line in the Bombers, I think Wiedemann can slot into this position and play. I think he'll fit into their best 22, and he could have a breakout year for them. They also got Will Setterfield from the Blues for literally nothing. Not bad at all, considering that he's handy midfield depth. And the Bombers draft picks, well, they've got pick 4, pick 22, 54, 62, 68, and 72. Overall, pretty good trade period for the Bombers, not having to give up any of their higher end draft picks. We head to the Dockers and look how busy their trade period has been. They brought in Jago O'Meara, Luke Jackson, and Josh Corbett. But look at the outs. The most of any club this trade period, getting rid of Lloyd Meek, Rory Lobb, Akers, Logue, and Tucker. Of course, the Dockers, they got Jago O'Meara in exchange for Lloyd Meek and a future second from the Hawks. A little bit of an interesting trade, this one, because it was only like a couple of days ago where this trade rumour actually eventuated. And O'Meara, well, he's still got quite a bit of footy left in him, quite experienced as well, so he'll help out in the midfield department. He'll add a bit of experience and leadership in the midfield department. Not a bad get for the Dockers there. They also got Josh Corbett for not much at all in exchange for a future fourth from the Suns, as well as Luke Jackson, one of the biggest trades as well as 44 and 67 in the picks. And the D's got pick 13, a future first, and a future second. So I think a fairly respectable trade there. The Dockers, of course, didn't secure their first round draft pick, obviously using that for Jackson, but they ended up with 30, 44, pick 67, and pick 76. As we're to Geelong, one of the bigger winners this trade period, bringing in Ollie Henry, Tanner Bruin, Jack Bowes, and only seeing Cooper Stevens depart this trade period. Of course, one of the biggest steals actually, Jack Bowes and pick 7 the Cats got in exchange for just a future third. As part of the salary dump, obviously, but regardless, though, it's an absolute steal, and I don't know how the Suns have managed to get into this position, but they have. The Cats also secured Ollie Henry literally on the final 5 minutes of deadline day as part of that three-way trade between the Pies and the Hawks, as well as Tanner Bruin, who's one of the most promising youngsters in the comp. And of course, the Giants got pick 18 in compensation. And the Cats, well, aside who just won the premiership, they've got pick 7 in hand, but the rest of the draft picks might not be used in pick 58 and pick 64. The Gold Coast Suns as well were fairly busy this trade period, bringing in Ben Long and Tom Berry, but having to depart Isaac Rankin, Josh Corbett, and Jack Bowes, as we mentioned before. Ben Long was a good get. I think he's definitely a very promising player. Had his best end to a season, certainly at the Saints, a player that I didn't really want to let go. The Suns got him as well as a future fourth for only pick 32, and I feel like Ben Long, I definitely wanted him to stay, but he obviously nominated the Suns as his team of choice. And then the Suns also got Tom Berry from the Lions as well as pick 46 in the future second, and the Lions in return got a few second round draft picks in which they'll use to help get Will Ashcroft. The draft picks on hand, they got pick 5 through Isaac Rankin, and then 45, 71, and 74. You can have a look at the Giants and what they've been able to do, and look at all that talent that they got rid of during this trade period, only bringing in Bedford and getting rid of Taranto, Hopper, Hill, and Bruin. Of course, I did get Bedford from the D, so I guess it'll be a bit of a replacement for Bobby Hill, someone with a lot of upside and could have a breakout season. Didn't really prove himself as much in the D side last year. He got traded for pick 44. And then their draft hand that the Giants have, they've got a monumental one. Of course, getting pick 1 through that massive four-way deal between North, Port Adelaide and West Coast. They've also got pick 15, 18, 19, 31, 57 and 61. So yes, the Giants, you could argue, had a pretty disappointing trade period and losing a lot of top-end talent. But at least you'd think that they get some of that talent back through the draft, in which they've got a very, very good draft hand, the Giants do. Now the Hawks, well, they had quite an interesting and busy trade period, bringing in Lloyd Meek, Cooper Stevens and Carl Amon. However, they had to let go of a lot of experience in Tom Mitchell, O'Meara and Gunston. The Hawks secured Carl Amon in exchange for pick 27, which I think is a pretty good deal. He's quite an underrated player. They got Cooper Stevens from the Cats as part of that three-way deal as well. And then Lloyd Meek they got from the Dockers as well as the future second, which was part of that deal in which they exchanged for Jago O'Meara. So the Hawks getting rid of a lot of experience, getting a few draft picks themselves in pick 6 and 24 with a few higher end draft picks as well. I think the Hawks probably were a little bit disappointed with that trade period, but at the end of the day, Sam Mitchell wants to completely rebuild their list. And players like O'Meara and Mitchell, they want to win a flag possibly, and they're not going to win one at the Hawks at the moment. So it makes sense why they did that, but the Hawks could see themselves dropping a few ladder positions possibly over the next couple of years. Now Melbourne, they also had a very busy trade period, bringing in Lockie Hunter and Shaki from the Dogs as well as Brody Grundy, but also departing Wiedemann, Jackson, Hunt and Bedford. Of course, one of the bigger trades, we saw Grundy get traded for pick 27. I guess it's a lesson for other teams probably not to sign players on for such long contracts, particularly Ruckman, because it doesn't always last down, in which it didn't in this case. So yeah, the D's definitely won in this trade. They got Grundy for not too much. How scary are the D's now going to be in their ruck department? They've got Brody Grundy as well as Max Gore, the two best rucks arguably in the competition. Josh Shaki as well, he got to the D's in exchange for a future third from the Dogs. And as well as that, the D's also got Lockie Hunter, in which they're expecting to play pretty much all games. And the D's only gave up a future third round pick in exchange for Lockie Hunter. So certainly for the D's, that was a steal. The D's, well, they ended up with draft picks of pick 13 as well as pick 37. We have a look at North Melbourne, and they brought in Griffin Logue and Darcy Tucker from the Dockers. But of course, they did have to let go of Jason Horne-Francis in what was one of the biggest shock trades so far this trade period. North got Griffin Logue and Darcy Tucker as well as a future third in exchange for a future second and third and future fourth, in which they used their compensation picks from the AFL in getting those two plays. At Dockers, another trade here in which I feel like they didn't get as much as they probably should have in return. But regardless, North, I think they won this one. North Melbourne, well, they didn't end up with pick 1 as part of that trade. They got rid of pick 1 in exchange for pick 2 and pick 3, which isn't the worst decision of all time, to be honest, considering the Giants were always going to get pick 1 in Aaron Cadman. So they got pick 2, pick 3, pick 40, 43, 59 and 70. We have a look at Port Adelaide, and they had a pretty successful trade period, you got to say, securing Jason Horne-Francis and Junior Rioli. Carl Amon, the only player they saw depart. But yeah, bloody hell, this four-way deal, I'm not really going to go into too much detail considering it's very complex, but of course the Power ended up getting Horne-Francis, Rioli, a future second and third. They did have to give up a few draft picks. North Melbourne, they got picks 2, 3, 40, 43 and a future second as a result of that. Obviously the Giants, they got pick 1. West Coast got pick 8 and pick 12. A lot happened in this deal. One of the biggest deals, if not the biggest deal to occur in AFL history. But yeah, Port Adelaide, they got their men in Horne-Francis and Rioli. And it provides a bit of a talking point. Should first round draft picks be forced to at least play 2 years at the club that they got drafted to before they're able to request a trade? I guess you guys can chat about that in the comments. Of course, the Power had to use a lot of their draft picks to get Horne-Francis. They only end up with pick 33 as well as pick 60. Now, another team that won, I would certainly say this trade period, was Richmond. They brought in Tim Taranto and Jacob Hopper to bolster their midfield stocks ahead of 2023. Jacob Hopper, he got traded for pick 53 and pick 63 in exchange for a future first and pick 31. And also Tim Taranto got to the Tigers in exchange for pick 12 and pick 19. Obviously, the Tigers had to let go of a lot of high draft picks to get these two plays, but I think it's a good deal because these two players are stars of the competition in Taranto and Hopper, and the Tigers, well, now they've only got pick 53 and 63, in which we'll see if they end up using those picks ahead of the draft. St Kilda, arguably the most boring side this entire trade period. Literally nothing happened, and as a Saints fan, I'm not very glad about that, to be honest. All they did was brought in ZAINE CORDY and got rid of Ben Long. ZAINE CORDY, a fringe player at best, obviously coming in from the Western Bulldogs, but a lot of Bulldog supporters I've actually seen don't mind this trade at all and didn't rate ZAINE CORDY whatsoever. All ZAINE CORDY really is going to provide, at least what I expect him to provide, is just a bit of depth for a defence. But yeah, I mean, I feel like we probably should have gotten a little bit more than that. But again, the Saints did get him for free, so it wasn't really too bad. The Saints keep pick 9 in the draft as well as pick 28, 32 and 47. So obviously the Saints are more prioritising the draft over this trade period. Well, Sydney, they arguably had a more lacklustre trade period, only bringing in Aaron Francis. Well, the Swans as well as the Tigers didn't have to get rid of anyone this trade period. The Swans did get Aaron Francis from the Bombers as well as pick 42 for really nothing, as they only got rid of pick 37 and a future fourth. Sydney, well, they have a fairly decent draft end with pick 14 and pick 17 as well as pick 42 and pick 75. The Eagles, another side to not really see too much action this trade period, bringing in JAYDEN Hunt from the D's, but also losing Junior Rioli to the Power. A little bit odd here, since the Eagles, well, they really need as many young players as they possibly can get. And JAYDEN Hunt isn't necessarily in that age bracket, but they got him for a decent price, actually, to be fair. They got him for pick 52. He provides running carries, so certainly will be a best 22 player for them, not having to give up too much whatsoever. Well, the Eagles, who had pick 2, traded down to get picks 8, pick 12. They also got pick 20 and pick 26 ahead of this year's draft. Last but certainly not least, we've got the Western Bulldogs, and well, they had a very, very busy trade period, particularly on the last day, seeing 4 deals made involving their plays on the final day. They brought in Rory Lobb and Liam Jones and departed and saw Josh Dunkley, Lockie Hunter, ZAINE CORDY and Josh Shackey depart. They got Liam Jones to help bolster their defensive stocks from the Blues, who of course wasn't able to play footy last year due to the vaccine mandate. And they also got their man in Rory Lobb, who was finally able to get his trade request completed. They got him in exchange for pick 30 and a future second round pick. We have a look at their draft picks on hand, and they ended up with pick 11, 21, 39 and 69. If there are any bigger losers in this trade period, you could argue the Dogs are the bigger losers, considering they got rid of quite a few good players, particularly in Dunkley and Hunter, for not that much in return. So there we go, that was the completed run through of all the teams this trade period. I'll go through my winners and losers briefly. I reckon Richmond, Geelong, Port Adelaide and Collingwood were the winners. And losers, I reckon the Dogs, the Giants, and maybe even the Saints, due to how mild their trade period was at the end of the day. Let me know your thoughts down below on how your team went, if you thought that your team did really well or did really poor. There'll be one more trade video out tomorrow on the Friday where I go through every trade on Tier Maker. I've done this sort of video in the past. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, we're on our road to 25k. So if you enjoy the trade videos and want to see more footy content, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and we'll see you very soon in my next video.